Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Strategic Command World War II in Europe. Well, basically war in Europe. So, this game is beta, so this is still a work in progress. I would like you guys to take that into consideration. So, as you can see here, version 1.10. Now, I have had access to the beta for some time. It's just the fact that I haven't really had time to do it. I just always ended up being sidetracked, and I do apologise to make sure Slytherin for that. They have been gracious enough to give me access, and I have been terribly unprofessional. So we are going to take a look at Strategic Command War in Europe today. Now, first off, I would like to congratulate them on just the fact that you're going to be alternate date format. Like, day, month, year, oh, Jesus, that is so beautiful if you're European. Well, at least I imagine most European countries do. I don't know if there is some that don't. But I know Americans have it like, year, month, day, or something like that, or month, day, year, I don't know. It proper weirds me out. it really just gets to me. It's just so difficult for me to comprehend. So yes, we can see here that there is a multiplier, which is kind of cool. So you have hot seat and email options. Can load into this, obviously settings. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the different start dates. Now, what I do like is the fact that there are more options here. I imagine this game will be moddable. It seems like it could be a very moddable game. I would have to consult with the developers on that one, see if that is actually true or not. We're going to take a look at the different start dates over here. So we have Operation Barbarossa, but we will take a look at the storm over Europe, as I think it's the best scenario to show off some of the different gameplay mechanics. As we can see here, decisive victory, access controls Berlin, Rome, Warsaw, Paris, London, Moscow, Leningrad, Stalingrad, and Cairo. Okay. Darkness descends over Europe as the continent is plunged into conflict. Can the Allies muster enough strength and courage to stop the Axis? Let's find out, shall we? Right, so we have to play as the Axis. There's a lot of different settings here. One thing that I do like about this game so far is the fact that there's a lot of different settings. Like, this is quite nice too. I like the fact that you do have control over this. It is pretty damn handy. Go with that. I do like to have them without. Makes things a little bit cooler. So we can have the 3D, or we can have this as actual divisional counters. I can't decide what I prefer, to be honest. I suppose on a game like this where you're fairly close in terms of zoom levels, it's okay to have the 3D. Makes it a little bit easier on you. Right. See, plenty of options over here, which is quite cool. Can even change the border style, so we're going to go with red. And we're going to click to OK. And see how this goes then, shan't we? I have not had much experience with this game. So, we'll see how it goes, and I do have to stress that everything is, of course, beta, so this is subject to change. You may not, in fact, be seeing the final product, etc., etc. I'm sure you guys know what this is all about by now. Okay. Axis war aims. We are finally in a position to undo the diktats of Versailles, which so weakened our country after the end of the last war. With our new panzers on the ground, the Luftwaffe in the air, and the Kriegsmarine at sea. Now is the time for us to wage a defensive war against our enemies. Our most important enemy is Great Britain. Bring her down and we will be masters of Europe. Ultimately, we will have to confront and defeat the Soviet Union. So while we advance and conquer in Europe, we must prepare for the greater conflict ahead. Let us advance and put our enemies to flight. Panzers forward. Okay, so we're going to let things load up here. As you can see, the level of detail here is quite nice. It's definitely one of the older... Well, it's like an older style with just how the game looks in terms of the hex-based. But what I do really appreciate is the level of zoom. Like, this is quite nice. I do appreciate this. Like, we can take a look over here, and we'll be able to see our ship, and... So we have the Deutschland Heavy Cruiser, and we have U-30. So you can see here we can rename it. We can set mode here, so hunt silent. We can set properties. Yep, there we go. Which is quite nice. Cancel. Can even have the unit sleep. Deutschland. Convoy mode. Radar. So I'll set them to radar. There we go. Nice little options there. Just adds to the game. Okay. So what we'll take a look at then first is the war map. So this basically is a nice little indication of what's going on over here. As you can see here, Poland is represented by a tank. That indicates that we are in fact at war. So you can see here, I believe this indicates how many cities they have, how many ports they have, possibly mines, fortifications. As you can see here, quite a lot. Yep, hell of a lot in the British Empire after all. And as well, you can also see the political leanings of the factions here. So obviously the Allies, 100%. Italy is closer to the Axis. Yep, Slovakia. Hungary is very close. Yugoslavia is close. Okay. Well, Greece is leaning towards the Axis. Okay. So it's interesting to try and figure out where you could try to impact on things. I mean, the United States, I imagine it is possible to try and influence the United States. Yeah, you can see here by pressing on this. That gives you a nice little pop-up over here. So you can see the nations that are somewhat leaning towards the Axis. Like Italy. Sorry, not Italy, Sweden. God, why did I say Italy? I was looking at Batman. Okay. So we can also take a look at the convoy map, so we can see all the convoys where supplies will move upon, which we will be able to try and sink. And we do have convoy raiders over here, so I imagine this would be a key supply line for the British Empire. You can see where this is coming into Germany. Okay, strategy map. Yep, there we go. Just shows you disposition of forces, which is pretty nice. Then we're going to purchase. Now, the nations have what is known as military production points. So this is it, MPP, military production points. And this is what you spend on units. Like so. What I do like is the fact that you can change the names. And I like this for the generals. It actually does have an effect. Like von Manstein is more expensive because he is a far better general. Whereas like Kessel Running isn't as good. Rommel, yeah, then you can see here. Like Schrona, all the way down here at 375. Garrison, which is about 47 points over here. You can change the name of them, which is quite cool. Battle cruisers, battleship, heavy cruisers. Interestingly, you can go for carriers, which I think is a very, very interesting little option there. And something I think I'd be interested in following up. You can also get railguns, rockets, heavy artillery, rocket artillery, tanks obviously, armored trains, quite cool, heavy tanks. Right. You can also see what we have in production, so we'll have these arriving soon enough. Italy, not so much, but still, it counts. Right, then moving on. So we have obviously just taken a look at purchase. New units we don't have any available yet as they've not been finished yet. We can see over here then the USA is looking towards the Allies. Well, if I had enough, I could try to influence them. So obviously we do not have enough. But maybe a nation like Bulgaria. We could spend points over here to influence them by another 5%, sorry. God, I'm terrible at speaking in the morning. I just cannot speak in the morning. My voice just has not woken up. I'm just still asleep. So yes, you can see here. What would be nice is actually being able to sort by, I don't know, faction and percentages. And that'd be quite nice. Yeah, we can also declare war from here, which is fairly useful. Right, research. Research is quite interesting. Obviously, this all requires military points. We can take a look at the table over here. That shows us what we have and what the other nations have. So, you can put a lot into this game. There's lots of different ways you can do it, which is something I do appreciate. The fact that the player has the ability to impact on their own gameplay, rather than being told or just basically railroaded in what to do, really. Like for mobility, that would increase the action points of HQs or infantry units, etc., etc. Honestly, something like this, I'd be very interested to try and go for the carriers and see how that could work out. Try and use the available forces to the best of our ability, and just see how that went. So we are at war with the Polish. As you can see here, the capital is obviously an objective. I've not seen any other objectives. I do have on the other screen a document open that should give me a list of hotkeys. Right, so G turns the hexes on and off. So that's a good option for you guys. It does make things easier. You can work things out. H temporarily hides all units. Good option there. L displays a summary of the last turn, but obviously we don't have anything going on yet. P shows the location of potential enemy partisan activity. R shows reinforceable units. We don't have any right now, so we're at full strength. Right, U shows upgradable units. You can see here these units could be upgraded, which is interesting. So if I take a look at U, over here. Can't upgrade you yet, but I imagine in time we could. Right then. So, what I do want to mention is the fact of how bloody important air power is in this game. Take a look at Italy. Italy over here in Libya. So Alexandria and Cairo is the important objectives. It's a very nice map. I could see this game being the basis for like quite a few mods. I mean, it could potentially be used to represent the Cold War in some ways by having like the influence game, that sort of thing. I imagine it could be done, and I'd like to see what people could do with it, given the incentive. Right then, so as we can see over here, we are at war with Poland. So if you take a look at the convoy map, you can see here there's convoys. We have Danzig, which is under our control at the moment. Yep, the free city of Danzig. So the Polish do have one port over here. So what we can do is we can move over here. So this is obviously an objective. Now I think we should start off with the air power. We do have a KG-1 bomber over here. I could use that to attack. Indeed. Now let's see, convoy mode, properties. Ground attack weaponry, naval weaponry. Attack value, so not very high. Move that. Something to take note of as well is basically, unlike many other games with like hexes and units like this, if you like move your unit, then click off it, that's it, that unit has been moved, it can't be moved again. But Strategic War in Europe has what is known as a dynamic movement. So basically I can click back onto you, and if it still has movement, it can be moved again, which is pretty damn nice. Right here we have enemy contact. Okay, so that has been moved. So it's cool that it shows you this, indicating that it has in fact been moved. So that is forces in Poznan. What I've done here is basically lock them down for the time being and take control of this rail network. Okay, so we can see here hide show units. Supply. So you can see here the level of supply. So we have 0 supply over here for now, but over time this should increase. You can see here 8. Pretty good. Now this does obviously make a difference if you were invading the Soviet Union. Right. Yep. It's good to have things like this. There we go. So we've moved towards Poznan. What we shall do then is, in fact, move infantry. Okay. I'm unsure as to... I think I just switched them around actually. I'm unsure as to whether you can select 2 units at once and attack. I imagine that's probably an option. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Okay, so we have von Bock over here. I'm going to move him closer to the front line. Okay, so it seems as that he is, in fact, helping these units over here. That's good to know. Right, our bomber we use over here then. Okay. Now we have our armor here, but I'd like to move the infantry first. So move towards Danzig. Right, there we go, we captured Danzig. There is the cavalry over here, which is going to be an issue, but we'll try to make our way around it. Which is the most important thing, really. Now, you can see here that we do have a mine over here, which is pretty cool. So this... national morale value, I believe that indicates... So I believe taking control of these things like so does actually give you production, which is really quite nice. We can also see up here the national morale values of the different nations. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we are going to use our infantry over here. I'm going to push. And see, I can do a lot of damage to the cavalry brigade over here, so we shall do that. So you can see that we still have movement here. Now I could move on further. Luckily we can move through here, we could advance straight to Lodz. But what we need to do then is utilize the infantry to break through. I can use my planes over here, the tactical bombers. Okay. Now, that's indicating that we would take damage here. Okay. We have forces down here in Slovakia. Let's march these forces along the roads here to Krakow. Right, in Krakow we have some mechanized. Interesting. So the Polish do in fact have some armor. Okay. So you can see here the Krakow army strikes 1, readiness 58, morale 80%. They're not entrenched. There we go. 1-to-1. So they're facing this way then, so I imagine they are aware of us. Okay. We'll attack the cavalry. There we go. Right. So you can see here, soft attack. Ah, these are fighters, okay, that makes more sense now. Operate. Ah, no. Set mode. Auto, right, so they're on auto. That's good. Yeah, okay. So we have some fighters over here too, and we have some tactical bombers. Sweet. Okay. Lithuania over here. We do have a garrison unit. That's good to know. I'd be tempted to move this garrison unit over here to Johannesburg. Just occupied that, basically. Primary supply. Okay. What we'll try to do then is basically get around the forces here. Capture the city. I'd like to form a pocket here, which would cut them off from supply. Basically standard tactics, isn't it? Ah, interceptors. Escorts. Ah. Cool. Okay, there we go. Now I do have these forces here. There we go. So obviously that leaves us in a precarious position, but I can move these forces here. Right, like so. I can move to Lodz. And potentially pocket these forces too. So we'll move forward. There we go. So that's formed a little pocket here and a little pocket over here. Obviously these are fairly light in terms of pockets. We'll see what we can do. Okay. Now these forces are in a fortification, so my best bet would be to just go around them more or less. Okay. Right, there we go. So that's most of the land units moved. More or less. Okay. So let's take a look at our naval units then. So what do we have over here? We have a Skarnhorst ship. I think what would be better off doing then is basically moving these ships out of Germany's waters now, basically the Baltic ASAP. So we'll head over here. Okay, and then we have the Gnissau. Or Gnissau? I don't know how the hell you say it. We have a Z-20 destroyer. The destroyer would be more than enough to deal with anything, I'd imagine. Probably. But I think what we'll do then is we'll possibly keep this in port. I don't know. Is it worth keeping in port? Nah. Right, We'll move out. Okay. Now, I imagine war with Britain will come in the following turn. So we have Scarpa Flow over here. Right, so we can see the Nelson. Interesting. Now we need to try to get towards these convoy routes. So move the submarines out. Okay, we have destroyed over here the Z2. Move that through the Kiel Canal. Okay. I'd really like to try and save up and, yeah, try to get carriers. I think that'd be really cool. It'd be a very large investment, so you'd still have to use it fairly wisely to make it worth anything. Right, so we have the Italian Navy here. The thing about the Italian Navy is that we need to keep open these supply lines. Now, the Italians did have a very large submarine fleet during the war, actually. It was actually a fairly reasonable one. So we'll get over here then. We try to intercept it just by Sicily. I think would be in a good spot. Right, so... properties, yep, okay. Destroyers over here. Okay. We do have a light cruiser there. I'll leave that as it is. We do have some armor over here. Okay. Now then. We have forces here. We have forces over here. So start to move them up. Garrison, okay. This is Garrison 2. I'll move these forces up the coast. So we'll have these garrison take over Benghazi. These forces can take over Tobruk. Right, so we don't have Ethiopia represented in the game. Right, so, bit of a weird turn, kind of like describing what happened here, so we'll just see how things go. Right, Polish morale suffers from battlefield losses. Okay. Right. So I could take it out early, which we could use to attack Poland, or I could use it in early attack on the French, which is interesting. I like the fact that there's options here. Yeah, or I could leave it to deploy full strength in Hamburg. I'm going to let it build up its full strength, but I like the fact that there's options like this. I mean, you could take it at partial strength, and I imagine that could lead to different things. Right, the United Kingdom declares war on Germany, so France can declare too. Yeah, this is cool. I am enjoying this game so far, and I usually don't play war games like this. France declares war on Germany. So potentially in the future I may do this as a playthrough. British industry and trade start switches to military production. Okay. Now I'm hoping I haven't moved my... right, so from Sweden. Okay. Italy collects 69. So we now have 277 military production points. I thought it'd be harder to save up for, like, a carrier, but I suppose this is to represent the fact that we're gaining from Sweden, aren't we? Right now. Sweden and Norway. So we need to try and keep the supply lines open. Alright, the Polish are moving. Right, yes, okay. Oh? So it seems I should not have moved my submarine directly outside Scalper Flow. Probably not the best idea there. Yeah, probably not the best idea. So we'll have to send that submarine home to be repaired, I do believe. But that's keeping the British AI's Navy hold up for the time being, so I can move my other ships further out there. And we did deal some damage to those 2 carriers and the ships there, so fair enough. Right, they have opened that pocket up, but I can easily close in on following turn. That's the thing. The main goal here is just to get Warsaw. Okay. Operation Peking. Evacuation of Polish destroyers to the UK. Bam, bam, bam. So turn times are a little bit long, but I imagine this will be dealt with as the game improves. Right. Okay. This is basically there's an idea of how to deal with the British. That's cool. Right, I can see over here then the Polish morale has dropped to 73% already. Right, so I need to get my submarine the hell out of Dodge. There we go. Now. Let's see. As what I'll do then is I'll consult the war map, take a look at convoys. So you can see here convoys that the UK is using. So we need to try and get in by the coast of Ireland. But that's a good spot. So I could go around the south coast, but it'd be much, much, much wiser to go around Scotland. Damn, enemy contact. Damage evaded. Yep, so that's what happens when you aren't too smart and you decide to go right where the British Navy is. Right, there we go. Move over here. I'll have them work together. There we go. And now my forces out over here. There they are. Right. Okay, looking cool. So obviously we have the phony war over here then, for the time being. I don't like the fact that I have like a province not covered over here. Kinda makes me worried. Oops, did not mean to do that. I think it's like Control Z. Yeah, Control Z does undo, but I move them again, so we'll have to make do with that one. This is usually why I don't play games like this, because I'm terrible for it. Okay. There we go. Destroy that unit here. Right, shattered. Let's see. I'll get around them. Okay, so we have them mechanized over here then. What we need to try to do then is basically surround them. Oh, I forgot to move the armor, god damn it. See, I'm terrible, 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 terrible for this. Enemy contact. Move over here. Alright, we'll stay as we are. moving to Krakow. There we go. Garrison forces over here. Ouch. There we go. So we do have some war production over here then. Let's make use of it. So I can't afford a carrier yet. I think I need long-range aircraft as well, actually. So if we go over to the research... Yeah, we can see these are going. So I'd have to spend money over here to start on with the long-range aircraft. So that's pretty cool like that. You don't just gain things immediately. You do have to try to get the necessary requirements first. Right, so I could buy some garrison, but I'm not going to. Right, so we deal heavy damage to them. I'll go to this position here. I'll destroy them. Ooh, nice bonus there. So you can see their morale's very low. Finish them off. Shattered. Yep, big bonus there. Okay. So I don't believe Italy's in the war yet. No. Okay. So they're in the Axis, but they're not in the war yet, which is fine. Go Control Z to save the day. Okay. Right then. So I can purchase for Italy. We'll let Italy build up. Now, Italy has neither of these. Diplomacy. Right, Italy. So it's quite interesting that we could try to use these points over here to try and bring nations in. That's kind of cool. Right. Okay, wipe them out. Lovely. As you can see here, Polish national morale is going to be heavily influenced by that. Alright, so could deal some damage over here. Decent amount of damage, actually. Right, they've moved back. Okay. So move forward. The Red Army begins crossing the border into Poland. Yep. Polish national morale plummets. Okay. Bum ba da dun 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 dun. So the French, what are the French going to do? Ah. Ouchie. So it's interesting turn of events here. So we have been able to get our big ships around the British. At least for the time being. So we need to get them all the way out there. Right, the British Expeditionary Force arrives in France. Okay. Seems the weather has changed. Indeed it has. September. So we should be able to finish Poland off this turn. Right, British Expeditionary Force has arrived. Yep, okay. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. See, I could have done a hell of a lot better if I'd actually used my panzers like a normal human being. And there we go. Lovely. I like that you can see the border here. It's kinda cool. Right, be able to deal major damage. There we go, we took out part of the Polish Air Force there. Indeed. Yeah, they're in a good position, so it's not even worth really attacking them. Okay, so Polish national morale is pretty damn low. Good, they shuttered. Righto. So I could probably have that repaired next turn. Yep, you can see the convoys. Right, that's good. So it's going to take a little while for the long-range aircraft to come on board, but it's really cool that I can focus on that sort of thing now. I mean, having carriers would allow us to try and make a dent in the Royal Navy, and I think trying to pull off Operation Sea Lion would be very, very cool. So I don't really have much time left here, guys, so I'd like to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this game. I think it's definitely worth your time, and it's definitely one to look out for in the future. And if you guys would like to see more, and probably a proper playthrough, ideally one where I don't screw up, then do let me know down in the comments. I will be looking forward to reading them. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.